The September sun cast long shadows across the manicured lawn of the Riverside Country Club in Charleston, South Carolina. I adjusted my tie for the third time, watching through the floor-to-ceiling windows as wedding coordinators scurried about like ants, arranging white roses and hanging crystal chandeliers from the outdoor pavilion. Everything had to be perfect for tomorrow. Everything had to be perfect for Victoria. "Marcus, stop fidgeting," my best man Derek said, handing me a glass of bourbon. "You look like you're about to face a firing squad, not marry the woman of your dreams." I forced a smile and took a sip, the amber liquid burning its way down my throat. "Just nervous, I guess. It's not every day you marry Victoria Hastings." Derek raised an eyebrow. "The way you say her name, like she's royalty or something." "Might as well be," I muttered, watching Victoria glide across the lawn in her designer dress, directing the staff with sharp gestures. Even from here, I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her jaw clenched when something wasn't exactly as she'd envisioned. The rehearsal dinner was set to begin in an hour, and already I could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on me. Victoria's family had arrived from Atlanta that morning, bringing with them an air of old Southern money and barely concealed judgment. Her mother, Patricia, had taken one look at the venue and sniffed, "Well, I suppose it will have to do." My own family felt out of place among the Hastings clan. My mother, a high school English teacher, had worn her best dress, the same one she'd worn to my college graduation 5 years ago. My father, who ran a small auto repair shop, kept tugging at his collar, uncomfortable in the rented suit. They smiled and made polite conversation, but I could see the strain in their eyes. "Marcus!" Victoria's voice cut through my thoughts like a blade. She was striding toward us, her heels clicking against the marble floor. "Where have you been? We need to go over the seating arrangements again. Your Aunt Margaret cannot sit next to my cousin Theodore. I've told you this 3 times. "Right. Sorry, And did you confirm with the string quartet? They need to know exactly when to begin the processional. The timing has to be perfect." She barely looked at me as she spoke, her eyes scanning her phone. "Oh, and remind your groomsmen that tomorrow is black tie. Derek showed up today in a navy suit." "Navy, Marcus. Can you imagine?" Derek shifted beside me, his jaw tightening. He'd driven 4 hours after finishing a 12-hour shift at the hospital to be here. "Victoria, it's just the rehearsal." She finally looked up, her green eyes flashing. "Just the rehearsal? Marcus, do you have any idea how much this wedding costs? How many people will be watching? This isn't some backyard barbecue. This is our future." The words hung between us, heavy with meaning. Our future. But lately, I'd been wondering whose future we were really planning. Every decision, from the flowers to the music to the 7-course menu, had been Victoria's. When I'd suggested we include my grandmother's favorite hymn in the ceremony, she'd laughed. "Oh, Marcus, that's sweet, but it doesn't fit the aesthetic." "You're right," I said, the response automatic now. "I'll talk to Derek about the suit." She softened slightly, reaching up to smooth my lapel. "I just want everything to be perfect for us. You understand, don't you? This wedding is a reflection of who we are." I nodded, but the question echoed in my mind. Who were we? Exactly? The rehearsal dinner was held in the club's private dining room, all dark wood and vintage wine. Victoria's father, Harrison Hastings III, dominated the conversation with stories about his law firm and his golf handicap. My father tried to contribute a funny story about a customer at the shop, but his words were met with polite, vacant smiles. I watched Victoria work the room, charming everyone with practiced ease. She was beautiful, successful, everything a man could want. We'd met 2 years ago at a charity gala. She was organizing it. I was there representing my company. She'd pursued me with the same intensity she brought to everything else in her life, and I'd been swept along by her certainty, her vision of our life together. "You're very lucky," Patricia Hastings said, appearing at my elbow. "Victoria could have had anyone. The Pemberton boy was quite smitten with her. His family owns half of Savannah, you know." "Yes, ma'am, I'm very lucky." She studied me over her wine glass. "I do hope you understand the responsibility that comes with marrying into our family. Victoria has certain expectations, standards that must be maintained." Before I could respond, there was a commotion near the door. My sister Emma had arrived, straight from her shift at the community center where she worked with at-risk youth. Her hair was slightly disheveled, and there was a small stain on her blouse. "Sorry, I'm late," she called out, rushing over to hug me. "You would not believe the day I've had. One of my kids—" "Emma," Victoria interrupted smoothly. "So glad you could make it. Though I do wish you'd had time to freshen up." Emma's face flushed. "I came straight from work. I didn't want to miss—" "Of course. How thoughtful." Victoria's smile was razor sharp. "Everyone, this is Marcus's sister. She works with, what is it again? Troubled children? At-risk youth." Emma corrected quietly. Kids who need extra support and guidance. How noble, Patricia murmured, in a tone that suggested it was anything but. The dinner continued, each course more elaborate than the last. I picked at my foie gras, watching the careful choreography of conversation. Victoria's bridesmaids, all sorority sisters from Vanderbilt, clustered together, whispering and giggling. My groomsmen, Derek, my cousin Tony, and my college roommate James looked increasingly uncomfortable in their rented suits. During the speeches, Harrison stood and raised his glass. Tomorrow my daughter will marry Marcus Chen, and while he may not come from our world, we trust that Victoria will guide him appropriately. The words stung, but I kept my smile fixed. My father's hands clenched around his water glass. He'd stopped drinking after one beer, worried about embarrassing me. Victoria stood next, radiant in the candlelight. I just want to say how grateful I am to everyone for being here. Tomorrow will be the most important day of my life. The day I've been planning since I was a little girl. Everything will be absolutely perfect. She turned to me, raising her glass. To Marcus, who has been so patient with all my planning. I know you don't always understand why every detail matters so much, but that's why you have me, to make sure everything is just right. Laughter rippled through the room, but it felt hollow. I stood, uncertain what to say. To Victoria, I managed, who always knows exactly what she wants. As we toasted, I caught Emma's eye. She gave me a look I couldn't quite read. Concern? Pity? Before I could process it, Victoria was pulling me aside. The photographer wants to do some sunset shots. Just the wedding party. She glanced at my family. We'll do the extended family photos tomorrow. Shouldn't we include everyone? They're all here. Marcus, please. The light won't last forever. We need to prioritize. So I followed her out to the lawn where the photographer arranged us in various configurations. Victoria directed every shot, adjusting poses, fixing hair, ensuring everything met her standards. The sun sank lower, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, and I found myself thinking about all the sunsets I'd watched with my family on our small back porch, no photographer needed, just us and the fading light. Marcus, smile, Victoria hissed. You look miserable. I forced my face into the expression she wanted, the one I'd been wearing more and more lately. The perfect groom for the perfect bride, in the perfect setting, on the eve of our perfect wedding. But as the camera clicked and the light faded, a small voice in the back of my mind whispered a question I'd been trying to ignore. If everything was so perfect, why did I feel so empty? The evening wore on, and the divide between our families became more pronounced. When my mother tried to share a story about my childhood, Patricia redirected the conversation to Victoria's accomplishments. When Tony made a joke, Victoria's bridesmaids exchanged knowing looks. As the rehearsal dinner concluded, I walked my parents to their car. My mother hugged me tightly. Are you happy, mijo? She whispered in Spanish, the language of my childhood, of comfort. Of course, Mom. Just pre-wedding jitters. She pulled back, studying my face with the intuition only mothers possess. Remember, it's not too late to... Everything's fine, I said quickly. I'll see you tomorrow. But as I watched their taillights disappear into the night, Victoria's voice carried across the parking lot. Can you believe she showed up looking like that? I specifically told everyone cocktail attire. She looked like the help. My blood ran cold. She was talking about Emma, my sister, the person who worked tirelessly to help kids everyone else had given up on. I stood there in the humid September night, listening to the woman I was supposed to marry tomorrow mock my family, and wondered how I'd let myself get here. How I'd traded my voice for her approval, my family's comfort for her family's acceptance, my own dreams for her perfect vision. Tomorrow I would stand before 200 guests and promise to love, honor, and cherish Victoria Hastings. Tonight, I wasn't sure I even knew who she really was, or worse, who I'd become trying to be worthy of her. The stars were coming out, distant and cold, and somewhere in the country club, Victoria was undoubtedly reviewing her checklist one more time, making sure every detail of tomorrow would be exactly as she'd planned. Everything would be perfect. The question was, perfect for whom? Chapter 1 ends here. Please type OK to continue with Chapter 2. Tentar novamente gok editar. Chapter 2. The Morning Revelation. The alarm buzzed at 6 a.m., but I'd been awake since 4:30 staring at the ceiling of my hotel room. Today was my wedding day. In 12 hours, I would be Marcus Chen Hastings. Victoria had insisted on hyphenating, saying it would look better on the wedding announcements. My phone vibrated with a text from Victoria. Good morning, future husband. Remember, groomsmen photos at 9. You need to be camera ready. The barber will be in Derek's room at 7:30. Do not be late. Today needs to be perfect. I sat up, rubbing my temples. Already the day felt choreographed down to the minute. Through the window, Charleston was waking up under a cloudy sky. The weather forecast had called for sunshine, and I wondered how Victoria would react if it dared to rain on her perfect day. A knock on my door interrupted my thoughts. "Room service," came a muffled voice. I hadn't ordered anything, but when I opened the door, my sister Emma stood there with coffee and a paper bag. "Figured you might need real coffee, not that overpriced stuff from the hotel," she said, pushing past me. "Got your favorite, Colombian dark roast from that place near Mom and Dad's house." The familiar aroma filled the room, and for a moment, I was transported back to simpler times. "Em, what are you doing here this early?" She sat on the bed, studying me with those perceptive brown eyes we'd both inherited from our mother. "Couldn't sleep, kept thinking about last night." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Marcus, are you sure about this?" "It's my wedding day, Em. Bit late for second thoughts." "Is it, though?" She pulled out a cream cheese bagel, my favorite, and handed it to me. "Remember when you were dating Julia in college? You used to light up when you talked about her. Your whole face would change. When was the last time you looked like that talking about Victoria?" "Julia." I hadn't thought about her in months. We'd dated for 3 years, planned a simple future together. A small house, maybe kids, Sunday dinners with both our families. But that wasn't enough anymore. Not after I'd gotten the promotion. Moved to Charleston, entered Victoria's world. "That was different," I said. "We were kids." "You were happy," Emma countered. "Now you look like you're preparing for a business merger, not a wedding." Before I could respond, my phone rang. Victoria. "Marcus, the flowers are all wrong." Her voice was shrill, panicked. "The roses are blush, not ivory. How could they make such a stupid mistake? This is a disaster. I'm sure we can fix it." "How?" "The ceremony is in 6 hours. Everything is ruined." I could hear her pacing, probably wearing a path in the carpet of her suite. "This is what happens when you don't use the florist I originally wanted." "But no, you said they were too expensive." "Victoria, I never said—" "I need you to call them right now. Fix this, Marcus. I cannot walk down an aisle lined with the wrong shade of roses. What will people think?" The line went dead. Emma raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. Floral emergency?" I was already pulling on clothes. "I need to go deal with this." "Or," Emma said slowly, "you could ask yourself why the shade of roses matters more than the person you're marrying." I paused at the door. "It's just pre-wedding stress. All brides get like this." "Do they? Or is this just Victoria being Victoria?" I left without answering, but her words followed me down the hallway. The florist was apologetic but firm. Ivory roses would require a 2-hour drive to their other location. I made the executive decision to have them spray the existing roses with a subtle pearl dust, hoping it would be close enough. When I texted Victoria the solution, she responded with a single word: "Fine." By 8 a.m., I was in Derek's room with the other groomsmen. The barber Victoria had hired was attempting to style my hair into something that looked nothing like me. "Bit more off the sides," Derek read from his phone. Victoria sent specific instructions. James laughed nervously. "Dude, she sent us a 3-page PDF about today. There's a diagram for how to pin our boutonnieres." Tony was struggling with his cufflinks. "These things cost more than my car payment. What's wrong with regular cufflinks?" "Nothing's wrong with them," I said automatically. Victoria just wanted everything to match. The barber stepped back, and I looked in the mirror. The man staring back was handsome, polished, and completely unrecognizable. "You look like a senator," Derek said. It wasn't a compliment. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a photo from Victoria's suite. Her bridesmaids in matching silk robes, champagne glasses raised, all perfectly posed. The caption read, "Can't wait to be Mrs. Chen Hastings. Perfect day, bridal party, blessed." I noticed Emma wasn't in the photo. "Hey," Tony said, "where's your sister? Isn't she supposed to be with the bridesmaids?" I texted Emma, "Where are you? Victoria's looking for you." Her response was immediate. "In the lobby." Victoria suggested I might be more comfortable helping your mom get ready instead of getting in the way of the professional hair and makeup team. My jaw clenched. Emma had been so excited about being a bridesmaid, had bought the expensive dress Victoria selected, even though it meant eating ramen for a month. "I need some air," I announced. "Marcus, we're supposed to leave for photos in 20 minutes, Derek warned. "I'll be back." I found Emma in the lobby, sitting with my parents. My mother was wearing a simple but elegant navy dress. My father in the same rented suit from last night, now pressed and perfect. "Mijo," my mother said, standing to embrace me. "You look very handsome, very different." "It's what Victoria wanted," I said, the phrase feeling like a broken record. Emma stood. "I should go. Apparently, the bride needs someone to steam her veil. Again." Wait. I caught her arm. What did she say to you? My sister's eyes filled with tears. She quickly blinked away. It doesn't matter. This is her day, right? Everything has to be perfect for Princess Victoria. Emma, did you know she asked me to cover up my tattoo? The one for Abuela? She said it would distract from the aesthetic. Emma's voice was bitter. Our grandmother's date of birth is apparently not aesthetic enough for her perfect photos. My father, who rarely spoke up, cleared his throat. Marcus, your mother and I have been talking. We want you to be happy, but the photographer is here. One of Victoria's bridesmaids, Brittany, Bethany, appeared, clipboard in hand. Marcus, you're needed immediately. We're running 5 minutes behind schedule. I'll be right there. She tapped her watch. Victoria specifically said immediately. I looked at my family. My mother's worried eyes, my father's resigned expression, Emma's poorly concealed hurt. These people who had loved me unconditionally my whole life, who were being pushed aside for not fitting the right image. I said, I'll be right there, I repeated, harder this time. The bridesmaid huffed and clicked away. Go, my mother said softly. Don't keep her waiting. But as I walked back to the groomsman's suite, something was building in my chest, a pressure, like steam in a kettle. I thought about Emma being excluded, my parents being made to feel small, my own reflection becoming unrecognizable. The photographer was a thin man with an aggressive energy. Okay, groomsmen, big smiles. This is the happiest day of Marcus's life. We posed and smiled, adjusted and readjusted. Victoria appeared for some shots, stunning in her silk robe, her hair and makeup flawless. She directed every angle, every expression. Marcus, you're squinting. Derek, stand up straighter. Tony, can you hold your breath? Your stomach is showing. Tony's face reddened, and I saw him unconsciously suck in his stomach. Perfect, the photographer exclaimed. Now just the bride and groom. Victoria wrapped her arms around me, her perfume overwhelming. Can you believe it? In just a few hours, everything I've planned will come together. Everything you've planned, I repeated. She pulled back slightly. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, just, shouldn't it be everything we've planned? She laughed, that tinkling sound that used to charm me but now sounded calculated. Oh, Marcus, you know you don't care about these details. That's why you have me, to make sure everything is done right. Right for who? Her smile faltered. What has gotten into you? This is not the time for whatever this is. My sister is sitting in the lobby instead of getting ready with your bridesmaids? She was making everyone uncomfortable with her stories about those juvenile delinquents she works with. Honestly, Marcus, drug addicts and gang members are hardly appropriate topics for my wedding day. Your wedding day? Our wedding day. You know what I meant. She glanced at her phone. We're now 7 minutes behind schedule. Can we please discuss this later? When, Victoria? When do we ever actually discuss anything? You decide? I comply. That's how it's been for 2 years. Her eyes narrowed. I cannot believe you're doing this right now. Do you have any idea how much work I've put into today? How many details I've managed? And you want to have some sort of existential crisis 3 hours before the ceremony? Your sister showed up to my rehearsal dinner looking like she'd been dumpster diving. Your parents can barely string together a conversation about anything besides their little jobs. I've been nothing but gracious, Marcus, but there are standards. Stop. The word came out sharper than I intended. Just stop. The photographer had wisely retreated, but I could feel Derek and the others watching from the doorway. Victoria's face went cold. I'll pretend you didn't just speak to me that way. You're clearly having some sort of nervous breakdown. Pull yourself together. The guests will start arriving in 2 hours. She swept out of the room, her robe billowing behind her. I stood there, my hands shaking slightly, that pressure in my chest growing stronger. Derek approached cautiously. You okay, man? She called my sister's kids juvenile delinquents. Called my parents' careers little jobs. Yeah, that's not cool. James and Tony exchanged glances. Marcus? James said quietly. We've all been thinking, well, we've noticed how she treats you, how she treats your family. It's just stress, I said automatically. Wedding stress. Is it, though? Tony asked. Remember Derek's birthday dinner? She spent the whole night correcting your pronunciation of the wine names, or when she told you not to mention your promotion because her promotion was more impressive, or when she made you cancel boys' night because it conflicted with her book club, James added, even though her book club was the next week. Or, Derek said quietly, when she told you that your grandmother's recipes were too ethnic for the rehearsal dinner menu. I sank into a chair. Each memory was small on its own, but together they painted a picture I'd been refusing to see. I thought I loved her. Maybe you loved who you thought she was, Derek suggested, or who you thought you could become with her. My phone buzzed. A text from the wedding coordinator. Guests beginning to arrive. Need groom in position in 90 minutes. 90 minutes until I promise to spend my life with someone who saw my family as an embarrassment to be managed, who saw me as a project to be perfected. Another text, this one from Emma. Mom's trying not to cry. Overheard Victoria's mom saying we should have been seated in the back with the other help. I'm done pretending this is okay, Marcus. Are you? I looked at my reflection in the mirror, the expensive haircut, the designer suit, the man Victoria had crafted. Then I thought about the woman waiting for me at the altar, the one who needed every rose to be the perfect shade of ivory, but couldn't see the beauty in my sister's dedication to troubled kids, my parents' honest work, my grandmother's recipes. I need to see Victoria, I said. Derek grabbed my arm. Marcus, think about what you're doing. I am thinking. For the first time in 2 years, I'm actually thinking. The walk to Victoria's suite felt both endless and too short. I could hear laughter and champagne corks popping inside. When I knocked, Brittany or Bethany answered. You can't be here. It's bad luck to see the bride. I need to speak with Victoria. Now. She must have seen something in my face because she stepped aside. Victoria was seated at a vanity, her hair in an elaborate updo, her makeup flawless. She looked like a magazine cover. Marcus, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be… We need to talk. She sighed dramatically. Can it wait until after we're married? No, it can't. Something in my tone made her finally turn to face me fully. Fine, everyone out. Her bridesmaids filed out, shooting me disapproving looks. When we were alone, Victoria stood, crossing her arms. You have exactly 5 minutes before I need to get into my dress. So whatever this is, make it quick. I looked at her, really looked at her. She was beautiful, accomplished, everything society said a man should want. But behind the perfect exterior was someone who would never accept my family, who saw me as an accessory to her perfect life rather than a partner. Victoria, I began, my voice steadier than I expected. I need to know something. When you look at our future, what do you see? She blinked, caught off guard. What kind of question is that? I see us in a beautiful home in the right neighborhood, attending the right events, raising successful children. What about Sunday dinners with my parents? Her nose wrinkled slightly. Well, of course we'll see them, on appropriate occasions. What about Emma? Will she be Aunt Emma to our kids? Or will she be the embarrassing relative we hide? Marcus, your sister is lovely, but she's made certain life choices. Helping at-risk youth is a life choice you disapprove of? It's not about disapproval. It's about surrounding ourselves with the right kind of people. People who elevate us, who understand the life we're building. The life you're building. I corrected. I'm just the supporting actor in the Victoria show. Her face flushed. How dare you? Everything I've done has been for us. Name one thing about this wedding that reflects me or my family. One thing. She opened her mouth, then closed it. The groom's cake is chocolate. You like chocolate. You picked the design, the bakery, even the shade of chocolate. You vetoed my suggestion to have tres leches because it was too messy for photos. This is insane. The ceremony starts in an hour. I know. I took a deep breath, the pressure in my chest finally releasing. Which is why I need to tell you now. I can't do this, Victoria. I can't marry you. The silence was deafening. Victoria's face went from red to white to red again. You're joking. This is some kind of sick joke. I'm sorry. I should have realized sooner. You deserve someone who fits your vision, who comes from your world. That's not me. It was never going to be me, no matter how much you tried to change me. Change you? Her voice rose to a near shriek. I improved you. You were nobody when we met. A middle manager with no style, no connections, no class. I made you into someone. You made me into someone I don't recognize, someone who's ashamed of his own family. Your family is embarrassing. The words exploded from her. Your sister dresses like a social worker. She is a social worker. Your parents can barely speak proper English. They speak 3 languages fluently. Your friends are all mediocre. Derek wears the same watch he's had since college. Tony drives a 10-year-old Honda. James still shops at Target. These are not the kind of people we should associate with. Each word was like a nail in the coffin of our relationship. Those mediocre people have been nothing but kind to you. They've attended every event you've invited them to, bought expensive gifts from your registry, treated you with respect you've never shown them. Respect? They should be grateful I even acknowledged them. And there it was. The truth, naked and ugly. You're right, I said quietly. They should be grateful. Just like I should be grateful that Victoria Hastings descended from her throne to notice me. How lucky I was to be chosen for improvement. You're throwing away everything. The venue, the flowers, the guests. Do you know who's coming? The mayor, 3 federal judges, partners from the biggest firms in the state, people who don't know me and never wanted to. You're going to humiliate me. Tears were streaming down her face now, black mascara running in rivers. Everyone will be talking about this for years. Poor Victoria, left at the altar by that nobody she tried to help. I'm not leaving you at the altar. I'm telling you now, giving you the chance to control the narrative however you want. Tell them I'm sick. Tell them I had a breakdown. Tell them whatever you need to. Get out. Her voice was low, dangerous. Get out. I turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I did love you. Or at least I love the idea of you. But I can't spend my life apologizing for who I am and where I come from. As I opened the door, she called out one last time. You'll regret this. You'll never find anyone like me again. I know, I said. That's the point. The bridesmaids were clustered in the hallway, eyes wide. I walked past them, past the flowers and the decorations, past the perfect facade of a perfect wedding that was never going to happen. My phone was already buzzing with texts, but I ignored them all except one from Emma. Whatever you decide, we love you. I had an hour before 200 guests would arrive expecting a wedding. An hour to face the music, to deal with the fallout, to start rebuilding the life I'd almost thrown away. But for the first time in 2 years, I could breathe. Chapter 2 ends here. Please type OK to continue with Chapter 3. Tentar nova mentigok editar. Chapter 3. The Fallout. The news spread through the Riverside Country Club like wildfire. I'd barely made it back to Derek's room before my phone exploded with calls and texts. Victoria's mother was calling. Harrison Hastings III was calling. Wedding vendors were calling. I turned the phone off and tossed it on the bed. Holy shit, Tony whispered. You actually did it. You okay, man? Derek asked, handing me a bottle of water. I sat down heavily, the adrenaline starting to fade. I need to find my parents. And Emma. They need to hear this from me. They're in the garden, James said, looking out the window. Your mom's helping the staff arrange centerpieces, even though Victoria told her not to touch anything. Of course she was. My mother, who could never sit still when there was work to be done, who showed love through action. I stood up, started walking toward the door, then stopped. Thank you, I said to my groomsmen, for trying to tell me, for standing by me even when I wasn't standing by myself. Derek clapped me on the shoulder. That's what friends do. Now go. We'll handle things here. Handle what? The logistics. Someone needs to tell the coordinator, the officiant, maybe help redirect guests. You focus on your family. I found them in the garden, my mother carefully adjusting roses while my father and Emma watched. They looked up as I approached, and my mother immediately knew. Ay, mijo, she said softly, opening her arms. I fell into her embrace, feeling like a child again. I called it off, Mom. The wedding's not happening. My father's hand came to rest on my back, solid and reassuring. Emma wrapped her arms around all of us. I'm proud of you, my father said quietly. It takes courage to admit when something's not right. Everyone's going to be here soon, I said. All those important people, all that money spent. Money is just money, my mother interrupted. Your happiness, your soul, that's what matters. She said we were embarrassing, that you could barely speak proper English. My mother laughed, actually laughed. My English is better than her Spanish, her Mandarin, and her compassion combined. We stood there in the garden, surrounded by Victoria's perfect flowers, holding each other as the storm approached. And for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Mr. Chen? A timid voice interrupted. It was Sarah, the wedding coordinator's assistant. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Ms. Hastings she's requesting your presence. She says if you don't come immediately, Sarah swallowed hard. She'll come down here herself. Emma snorted. Of course she will. Can't have a crisis without making it a performance. I'll go, I said. We're coming with you, my father announced, his tone brooking no argument. Dad, you don't have to. We're your family. We stand together. So we walked back into the country club as a unit. The main ballroom was in chaos. Victoria stood in the center, still in her robe but with her hair and makeup redone to perfection, directing her bridesmaids like a general commanding troops. Cancel the musicians, but they don't get their deposit back. This is their fault for not having a proper contract clause. Bethany, call the photographer and tell him he'll be paid for half. Marcus! She spotted us and strode over, her heels clicking ominously on the marble. How dare you bring them here? They're my family, Victoria. They're the reason you're doing this. They've poisoned you against me, made you think you're too good for what I'm offering. Emma stepped forward. No one poisoned him. You did that all by yourself. You! Victoria pointed a manicured finger at my sister. You've always been jealous of my success, my beauty, my relationship with Marcus. This is what you wanted all along. I wanted my brother to be happy, Emma replied calmly. Clearly that wasn't going to happen with you. Patricia Hastings appeared, her face a mask of fury barely contained by Botox.